You're listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. Hosted by Rudy Ruiz. Spoiler alert.
All right, rolling Drinks in a Movie podcast. Yo, everyone, thanks for tuning in once again. We're continuing spooky season, but this time I've got a new co-host with me.
Yo.
A dear good friend of mine. This is his first time on the show. Yes. Jordan, what is up, dude?
Yo, I'm so excited to finally be on the podcast. Me and Rudy have been friends for such a long time. And man, I'm just so happy every time we get to get together, and especially if there are drinks around. So hell yeah, let's do it.
Drinks and movies, the perfect thing. And it was important to me to hit you up for this one. And we've been talking about it for a while because I know we were going to do Inglourious Bastards and what's the Kubrick movie? Barry Lyndon.
Yep.
So one day we will do all those. Let me pass this to you.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon's one of my personal faves for sure.
Grab you this glass. So it was important for me to hit you up for this one because we actually saw this in theaters together back April 6, 2007.
2007, the premiere.
Yeah.
It was at New Bev, right?
No, we saw this I think at AMC Covina. We saw it in town, and I remember Hunter was with us. It was either Edwards, like the Regal, or it was AMC. It was one of those.
Maybe it was probably AMC. That used to be the one.
Yeah, the big one back when it was still like 30 screens, or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember you, Hunter, and I went to go see it, and we were super hyped up on all of it.
Dude, yes,
we were big Quentin Tarantino nerds at the time, and fucking.
That's a bit of an understatement. I had the entire script of Reservoir Dogs printed out and taped to my wall. We listened to the Reservoir Dogs soundtrack in Hunter's car exclusively.
Yeah.
And we recreated Reservoir Dogs at least a couple scenes.
Yeah, we did a few scenes, dude. We were serious too. Yeah, so we were, very imaginative, high school. And I guess looking back on it, pretty dweeby for doing that. Total nerds, but it was dope,
also
man.
Badass kids.
Also fucking badass. No one else was on our level of movies. That's for fucking sure. We were on a whole other plane of existence with that shit. But
so big, dude. Yeah, I learned so much from movies just since back in the day. That's always something we could always talk about, and I would always go to you for the movie opinions.
Hell yeah,
of course. Yep. Rudy the Death Star.
Yeah, dang, man, you're fucking. I knew this was a good idea. All right, we haven't even had a drink yet.
Oh, I know, right?
Well, for this, so we've got a couple drinks. Oh, so first off, I don't even remember if I said this, but we're talking Grindhouse.
Yes.
I think I gave all kinds of I gave the fucking release date, but not the movie.
Right.
So we're talking Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's Grindhouse.
Double feature,
Planet Terror, Death Proof. So we're going to be talking about the spooky season, and I consider these in the spooky season arena,
yeah. Totally,
for sure. And so I wanted to get some chartreuse because of Death Proof, but I couldn't find any. I was hoping to get one of the mini bottles. I feel like I see them all the time, but didn't see them this time. I didn't even see the full size, actually, now that I think about it. And I went to a few different stores. Chartreuse, dose chartreuse, Yes. The only liquor so good they named a color after.
Exactly, Tarantino himself.
Yeah. But so in lieu of that, we do have a Texas whiskey here, seeing as how these movies take place in Austin.
Yeah, Texas will do.
Yeah, we've got a Still Austin. Now, I think I did this on the show before, but not proper. I had an episode where Shannon Hood, who was a whiskey educator, came on, and she gave my friend Chris and I a bunch of samples of different Texas whiskeys. That was the flight we did, and another one that was different whiskeys from other states. And this was one we did in the flight that I fell in love with immediately. So this is Still Austin from Austin, Texas.
It smells good.
We are doing, this one's called the Musician, Cask Strength Bourbon Whiskey, coming in at, where's the proof on this? 118 or 116 proof? I can't read it.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Actually, the bourbon is proper because that is
bourbon.
That's what he's got in his glove box.
Oh yeah, I think it was Four Roses.
Yes, it was Four Roses.
Yeah, Four Roses.
Yeah, he's got. But yeah,
I thought about that for a moment.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll keep it with the Texas stuff. But
definitely.
Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh man, that's good.
Now, what I like about this one,
wow,
is it's pretty young, but still Austin. I stand by. Their shit's good. I got to go to their distillery a year ago on a trip. I didn't take a tour, but I got the new bottle and bond when that dropped at the time. Tried the Cask Strength rye. What stands out to me with this one, and I don't know if you picked this up, but for me, it reminds me a lot of Mexican hot chocolate. So right now it's a little hot in here, but yeah, it's like I get like a little dark chocolate note, but with some cinnamon spice.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I like about this one a lot.
I almost get like a little caramel or something at the end too. Like
that's on brand. That's on brand for sure.
Oh man, man. I need to drink with you more. This is so good.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm new to all this, like the really fine whiskey stuff, man. But this is exquisite.
Yeah, as far as craft, like this is like a craft distillery for sure. Still somewhat small operation. I think this is some of the best like craft stuff, but next like a Sagamore Spirit.
Yeah, nice. How much does that bottle go for?
Oh man, this one for the cask strength, I want to say like 40 or 50.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, and they're pretty easy to find. Like a lot of these are out here, so it's not something you got to hunt for. Like if you go to Total Wine, you'll definitely see it. Nice. And there is, if it's like too hot for you, there's the non-cask strength one, which is like 90 proof or something. They have a cask strength rye now, which came out, I think, fairly recently. And they do like single barrels too. But
man, I need to get back into whiskey. This is going to get me right back into it. I'm going to have to go get a bottle.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Nice.
We'll drink more when we do Barry Lyndon and Glorious Bastards.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man, let's talk this movie.
Oh.
So first off, I remember very clearly, you know, the three of us going, you, Hunter, and I, seeing the movie, and even rewatching it in preparation for this a week or two ago. It really takes me back. First, we get the awesome Machete trailer. We got to start with that. Machete.
Yes.
Also directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yes. I mean, it's just perfect. It goes with, you get the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the trailers and everything.
And that's what I loved about their whole idea. You know, they talked about how, I think Robert Rodriguez had the idea initially. And because Quentin Tarantino at that time would always have him and other people at his house because he collects actual film prints. So his thing was like him hanging out with his buddies is like curating a double feature with trailers, like the whole thing. Yeah. Because he missed those style of theaters.
So fun. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like imagine, I wish I was fucking rich.
And if I had a big ass house, like, yeah, dude, we're going to go to my movie theater. We're going to watch some sick ass shit.
And we're going to watch it like on a film projector, like legit.
Oh yeah. I'm sure he's got a badass sound system in there too. So that shit, I'm sure it smacks. Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah. So, you know, they were doing that a lot and eventually like sparked the idea and they're both came up with like I'll do one, you do one, and you know, talking to their other filmmaker friends about it and that were also into that same kind of genre of like grindhousey exploitation films, you know, in the old dilapidated theaters and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we get some trailers by again Robert Rodriguez doing Machete, and then we get, you know, Rob Zombie, Edgar Wright, fucking Eli Roth. So we'll get into those, but Machete, man, brilliant. Like just
that's probably the most iconic one.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah. Just like you see, you can visualize him in your mind's eye as soon as you say it.
And even it took him like quite a few years until he finally made that movie, right? Like when did that movie come out? Like 2013?
I don't know. Or something? Yeah. It was late. It was much later.
Yeah. Much like quite a few years later, which was funny that like he finally eventually did it, you know? And that's the movie that, you know, Danny Trejo has been in the game for so long, for decades. He's like a character actor, small bit parts. But I think when he came out in this trailer, that's when people really kind of knew. Like,
you think that was it for him?
I think so. Like for the average audience.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? For the average audience, I think this was it. And then when he did the actual Machete, where he's like the lead and it's him. Yeah. That made him like what do you call it? Not a mainstay, but like a household name.
For sure. Yeah. Because I always thought of him as like an OG.
Yeah. No, I did too.
Yeah.
Well, I think for people like us that are really into them and we like recognize him in all these other, like I remember he was in what, like Death Wish 4 or something. He was in Mi Vida Loca, you know, Blood In, Blood Out. All kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah. All the classic hood movies too.
Yeah. And of course, you know, like Desperado. Like Robert Rodriguez was casting him and everything from Dusk Till Dawn, fucking Spy Kids, you know? But he wasn't like the front and center. You know what I mean? Like, I think if this Machete trailer didn't happen, I don't know that we would have Trejo's Tacos.
Oh, maybe
you know
not.
What I'm saying?
Maybe
like,
not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't quite think that would have happened.
Well, I'm glad it did.
Yeah. I mean, the tacos are fine, but I appreciate him as a person.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, watching this again brings me back. Like I remember in the theater and just already loving it. You get that crazy like opening main theme And Robert Rodriguez did the music for this.
Yeah.
With like the saxophone solo. And I remember like the Dimension
and
logo
the guy's just
coming across
wailing
the
on the
field.
sax. It took me right back to From Dusk Till Dawn. Like even the way he's got the drums EQ'd, it's like that 90s rock, like driving. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
I love it, man. The whole like opening theme is just, it's pretty unique and interesting. Like I don't know of any other songs or music. I mean, I'm sure something influenced it, but it just feels like it's in a class of its own, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you might call it on the nose, but it's like so intentional. Like everything is fucking extremely intentional to the point where it's like it's really hard to make these these movies look not cheesy or whatever, you know what I mean, with some of the decisions that they make, but because it's so intentional and because they do it with so much style and fucking confidence, it just comes across as fucking badass and cool. You know what I mean?
They really lean into it.
Totally lean into it,
and just lean into even the stuff that doesn't make sense, and just the humor of it. You know, like I always think about so Freddie Rodriguez plays like one of the leads of Planet Terror, right? El Rey.
Oh yeah,
Ray's
Wreckage.
And there's this whole mystery.
Even his character too.
Yeah.
It's like very totally one-dimensional.
Yeah. Like this whole like lore about who he is. Right. Like the sheriffs don't like. But I love like it's great character work. Like you're right, he is one-dimensional. But just in that he very quickly creates this mystery and this whole like
but it's
aura
like I don't give a fuck. He's cool
around him. Yeah, and he's cool.
He's badass.
And he can just do everything. Like he's running and doing backflips off the wall and like has his fucking switchblades.
Yes.
And is like an expert.
And he never misses.
Never misses. Expert sharpshooter.
Yep.
And I love how later, like after they do the sex scene, it does the real missing thing. Right. And when Michael Biehn, dude, I remember being so stoked when I was, Michael Bihn's in this movie, the sheriff. Kyle Reese. And but later on, like after the real missing thing, when the place is on fire and all,
it jump cuts to the like everyone's now in the diner,
the barbecue place,
or the barbecue spot.
It's like burning up. They got to make their escape.
Yep.
And Michael Biehn like got shot apparently. And when he's like, if only I knew you were, he's like, I'm sorry I gave you so much trouble.
Yeah.
If only I knew you were El Rey.
Right. Yeah. The way he says it.
Like, I wanted to give you such a hard time. And he's like,
then that's when
it's all right. That's an order. And you're like, what? So he's like Spec Ops. This is like Black Ops,
Who
Special
knows?
Forces.
Yeah, he's on some other shit. But then when that's the scene where he gets the pistols, right? And then I
give him the guns.
I swear,
give him all the guns.
I wanted to chop out a gif of that and just like there was so many memes just like when I'm just like feeling it, it's just like everyone and the zooms on the faces and everyone's just like holy shit, like no fucking way. It's like I can't believe it's happening. Dude, amazing.
It's so funny. Like I think that's all the perfect stuff that you're kind of talking about where it's cheesy and ridiculous, but they just make it super cool and just fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, I love
all that shit.
It's so fun to watch. That was the other thing too. When I was watching both of these films, but specifically Planet Terror, it feels like an event. Like I remember it. It's like when you listen to a live record, right? And you're like listening to a live band, and they do different versions. It's like the timing of everything, even with the comedy and the action, you can like feel that. It's like I feel like I'm. And I think also the fourth wall breaks, right? Like all the real missing, the fucking the cuts and the shitty tape, and all that. Like you're supposed to feel like you're watching a movie, and then it reminds me, I'm like in the theater, and I'm like with a bunch of people, and we're all enjoying this together, so we're all laughing, and like it's almost like having like a laugh track in the back or something, But I love that feeling of like being in that film at an event.
Yeah, no, I think that's the perfect word. Like it is an event movie, and that's what they set out to do. And I think that like to me they accomplished it. Like I remember being so happy because of that. It like really felt that way. And even when I watched it at home, like I remember when they released it on DVD, it was very disappointing because they did the two individual movies.
Oh, right.
But then later on when Blu-ray became bigger, the Blu-ray release was like the full experience.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. That's why there's like, the extended cuts and all that, which I don't like. So I finally got the Blu-ray. It took me a while, but that's like the only way I can watch it is like the full trailers, intermission, like the whole thing. Yeah. Because that's
the way it was meant to be watched.
Yeah, that's exactly.
100%.
I think about how, there was that little bit of like that controversial take when Martin Scorsese said that Marvel movies are just like theme park rides, amusement park rides, and everyone got all mad, not cinema. This movie is the amusement park ride. Like, I'm going to put it, I don't care if it's exploitation or cheesy or shit, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
But it is cinema. I'm going to say that, but it's also a roller coaster.
Yeah, strap yourself in. Here we go.
It's a ride. You get all the ups and downs and around.
And you know it's coming and it's still fun.
Yeah, exactly. You can go on it again and again and again. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I think it was so funny that people got so bent out of shape by him saying that. And it's like, you know what, man? There's nothing wrong with the roller coaster. Everyone loves a good fucking roller coaster.
Hell yeah.
Who cares, man? Like, you know, there's a time to watch Jean Dielman and there's a time to watch fucking Grindhouse.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, fucking A.
Yeah, and it's almost Halloween now, so it's the perfect time for Grindhouse.
Yeah, perfect time, especially Planet Terror,
Dude,
man.
Yeah, Planet Terror. So having all the practical effects too, it's so visceral. I forgot how just like nice it is just to see so much practical effects and like people being torn apart.
Yeah, dude, great makeup. I love that the blood is almost like a gelatin looking kind of texture.
It's ridiculous.
And everything, and it's so there's so much of it. It's fucking wild.
Yep.
The atmosphere of that movie is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's like it's like you're watching a little painting in each frame. You know, it's like the way the fog rolls in, and then the sky's just black. You know, there's like nothing. It's just like you're not like, yeah.
What's funny too is Robert Rodriguez originally tried to hire John Carpenter to do the music for it. He didn't even want to do it. Yeah. He wanted John Carpenter.
That makes sense, yeah.
I don't remember what he said in the interview. I think John Carpenter was like, nah, like you should just do it. That's what you do. And it's funny because once I found out about that and I pay attention to the soundtrack and his score, like besides that main theme we see in the beginning of like the opening credits, it very much, like you can definitely tell it's John Carpenter influence. Like it's Robert Rodriguez trying to do John Carpenter, and I love it.
Yeah, it comes across great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
One thing I noticed this time around that I didn't catch before is that, I mean, so they're trying to make it look like an old 70s film print, right? So they add a lot of like scratches and film grain and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting too is with Robert Rodriguez, because he's very deep into like digital filmmaking, like he was one of the first guys, like I think besides George Lucas, to really be all in on it. When other people were like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
He was one of the first people to be all in.
Interesting.
Whereas Quentin Tarantino is like a film purist, like watches film prints. Like his theaters, New Beverly and Vista, only film prints. We're not playing any DCP digital shit. Only shoots film. And obviously, when he did Death Proof, that was film. You know, so it's interesting to see the difference.
Yeah,
and how
Death Proof still looks so good.
I love it and how they approach it. But one thing I noticed this time around was that I thought was a really nice touch is anytime, you know, there's like a scene and the tension is building and building and building. He turns up the grain. Like it gets more grainy and like scratchy effects. Like as shit is like ramping up. You know, I think about
that's
when
really cool.
Dr. Block, oh my God, from Dune, fucking Goonies. Why can't No Country for Old Men? Why I can't remember his name? Josh Brolin? Yeah.
Jinx,
There's a shiner for you. But when Josh Brolin is, you know, finds out his wife was going to run off.
Yeah, probably my favorite performance in that film too.
Josh Brolin?
Yeah, Josh Brolin's sick. Love it, Josh
And
Brolin.
like moments like that when he's like catching her up and it gets all grainy.
Yeah.
And I love too when he's got the needle up there and the camera just going back. Another one of those like arbitrary nonsense moments where he's just holding in the
when
music
he's about
and
to
it's
stab
like
her hands.
zooming.
Yeah.
And it keeps cutting back and forth. And it's like
the tension.
Instead of just doing it.
Right? The tension.
I love that.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, slow burn.
This is I'm glad you mentioned that because this is one thing that I found myself asking as I was watching, noticing all the like the effects, right? Like the film effects that are added in to make it seem like you're in that thing. To me, every time it came up, I was like, why? Like, why did they choose to do that here? Like, especially like in Death Proof, I was like, why did they choose to have like, you know, the stutter cuts where you have the lines jumping, like cutting over each other, or like you see the same little, you know, weird inconsistencies in the cuts like that. So to me, I was like, there's got to be a reason that somehow serves the plot or serves the story in all of these decisions. But yeah, the grain is fucking tight in Planet Terror. I gotta go back and watch that now. That's sick.
Yeah, I never caught it before. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I read this, or maybe it was in an interview back when the movie came out, I didn't make time to research this again. But I think, whereas Robert Rodriguez did everything digitally, I think I read or heard that Quentin Tarantino, because, he shot it on film. I think he literally like got the print and just like fucked it up personally.
Oh shit.
Like scratched it. He probably played it like 100 times somewhere.
That's sick.
Did like that. He did a lot of that shit by hand, supposedly.
Wow.
Which I think is pretty cool, again, and that's definitely like the purist type shit, if that's how it went. But it makes sense because that one does look quite a bit cleaner.
For sure.
It's like, even though it's like literally film, it's like the print wasn't jacked up enough,
Yeah. No, that reminds me of like relicing an old guitar or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Get that vintage feel.
One thing that's pretty crazy is like, so if I remember correctly, Josh Brolin wasn't like doing a whole lot before this movie. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
2007.
2007. Like I know he did
No Country for Old Men.
Well, that came out late. So that's what I'm building to is he shot his audition tape for No Country for Old Men while on set of Planet Terror. I think I remember seeing that behind the scenes. So he shot it, and I think Mary Shelton, who plays his wife in the movie, did the scene with him. Yeah. And Robert Rodriguez did the music and cut it together and shot it for him. Shot his audition.
Yes, that's right.
And they sent
now
it to the Coens.
because Robert Rodriguez,
helped him let's do it. Let's shoot your audition.
Yeah, so sick.
And that clearly really helped him land that movie. And obviously ever since No Country for Old Men, Josh Brolin has been a top fucking dog, in demand actor.
Oh, I know.
So it's crazy. As silly as these movies are, and I think
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez doesn't always get his due. Man, has he launched some career?
Did he low key put Josh Brolin on the map?
No, I think so. I think so. I think
pretty much,
if Brolin didn't get this part, I don't know
if it wasn't for Planet Terror.
Yeah, for real, straight up. And then obviously No Country for Old Men was the one, but this got him to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
I think even Salma Hayek, no one was giving her a shot until Robert Rodriguez did, Danny Trejo. I mean, Antonio Banderas, if we're thinking Desperado was already big in Pedro Almodovar movies and all that.
Okay.
But I think in America, Desperado, that put him on the map over here.
What year was that?
That was 95?
Okay,
maybe 94.
95? Okay.
94 or 95.
Gotcha.
It was right after Pulp Fiction, post Pulp Fiction.
Okay, gotcha.
Another banger, man. I want Robert Rodriguez to go and do another movie like these, or like Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Desperado type shit.
Yeah. I haven't seen those in a long time. I gotta rewatch those.
They're good, man. They're they get pretty wacky by today's standards, but that was just very much the time. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Oh yeah. Dude, there was so many things that I noticed for the first time as I was rewatching Planet Terror.
Yeah, dude, hit me with it.
So, what I was, the kid, Tony, we were just talking about.
Yeah, that was Rodriguez's son. One of his kids.
Yeah, so he looks just like the kid from The Shining. Dude.
He does, huh?
And then, and think about this, the way he talks, it's almost like he's I was watching and I was like, why is this kid giving me The Shining vibes? And then Tony, Tony.
That's the little finger guy.
Yeah, the finger guy from The Shining, that's the kid's name, Tony. And he took Tony,
right.
he shot himself in the face. Dude, that's another thing about the comedic timing too. It's what the fuck?
I remember being so shocked in a great way seeing this in the theater.
Yeah.
And I remember laughing, dude. We all fucking lost our shit when because you're not expecting that.
No, not at all.
And she just tells him
she's protecting, that's her whole MO. She's the mom. She's protecting Tony.
We're gonna escape your, abusive father.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go inside real quick, Tony.
Just take this, protect yourself with the gun, and just don't.
Oh, that was
she gives him the gun.
Yeah,
she's like, if anyone besides me comes over here, you shoot them. What if it's dad? Especially if it's dad. Yeah. She says at one point though, hey, be careful where you point that thing. You can blow your face off. And dude, seconds later, she just turns around, goes and you just see the flash.
Oh, it's hilarious, dude. It's almost like that. Oh shit, he shot Marvin in the face.
Yeah. Very, very much. Dude, wild.
Yeah, but that kid Tony totally gave me fucking
Yeah, no, now
the
I
shiny
see
vibes,
it.
yeah.
I never really connected
Yeah.
that, but
I
guess even the way he kind of talks too.
Yeah,
right?
there's like some voice lines that he delivers that are like in a very like 80s childlike like kid like tone,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like that. Yeah, it's funny.
Jesus. What else did he pick up on? Anything else?
Just a lot of the links too, like how much the universes were connected, like the hospital scenes
Yeah.
in both, and
There's a moment when Fergie, when she's trying to fix her car and the radio's on, and it says "in loving." This one goes out in loving memory of Jungle Julia.
Oh
on the
yeah,
radio,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
it shuts off. That was one that I didn't catch till I think a few years later. I think a friend actually brought that up to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, yeah."
Yeah, there was a bunch of them.
I do like. I mean, with Michael Parks coming back as Earl McGraw.
Oh, Earl
'Cause he was
McGraw.
like
Son
from
number
dusk,
one.
from Dusk Till Dawn, Kill Bill.
His character
All that
endures in the
Yeah.
universe.
Yes, it
His
does.
character is probably the one that probably draws them all together the
Yeah.
most. Just because
He's
he's kind
always
of
there.
iconic.
Earl
Yeah.
McGraw, even though he gets his head blown off in the fucking in his first appearance in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, he's classic.
Which that's another one too. I love when he just shows up later. Like another one of those things that doesn't make any sense when they're at the helicopter, and for zero reason,
Dude.
Marley Shelton goes into a different helicopter, and Josh Brolin's there waiting for her,
Dude,
and then
yes.
Earl McGraw shows up and kills him.
As the movie goes on, there's a bunch of wonky things that happen. Okay, do you remember right before Rose McGraw, right before the helicopter thing, she like jumps over like a giant wall?
Yeah, she like launches herself off with the
With the explosion, and she just like puts her arms out and it like flies into the air. And I rewatched it, I was like, no fucking way. Who wrote this shit? But it's amazing. Yeah, she just slides out into it in fucking 360s and machine guns everybody to death. Like, fuck yeah.
infinite ammo.
Dude, yeah.
like,
And then, okay, yeah.
pulling the trigger.
Ridiculous. But yeah, you love it. Another one was, okay, do you remember when they all like are making their escape and El Rey gets on the tiny little pocket bike? It's the stupidest little motorcycle. And like you see him riding off and his knees are by his
Yeah,
ears. Like
It's so funny because I feel like even the wildest Roger Corman crazy exploitation movies aren't even as ridiculous, because that is the thing. Like, why? Like, it's just there purely for like the joke, right? Is a lot of the shit.
That's got to just be a joke.
And,
at that. Yeah,
and even when they're
it's kind of like the climax of the film.
yeah, but even when they're like running over the other zombies, and then the dog just like jumps off the car, it gets like run over, and they just throw blood on everyone.
Dude.
It's like that. The kid getting his head blown off, just all this shit. For like,
Yes. You know what I wrote down as I was watching? As during that last scene, and they're just like the heads are exploding like watermelons, dude. There's just exploding watermelons everywhere. They just turn this shit up to 10.
yeah, I love it so much, and how fun it must have been to do that, to just give yourself permission, because they came up with this idea. So I just think of it like that, like, hey, we've made some dope movies,
Right.
Desperado, Pulp Fiction, and all that shit, Kill Bill, Spy Kids, like, hey, let's just make another movie. We'll do it together.
Yeah.
We'll get that Weinstein money.
Yes. Yep.
And we're gonna just do whatever the hell we
Dude,
want.
they made one for the boys.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like, it doesn't have to make any sense.
Yes.
Yep, she's gonna have a machine gun for a leg. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Just because.
Made this for you.
Just because. Why is this dude from Lost just like collecting people's testicles? Why not?
Oh, I
Why
forgot
not?
about. I was trying to make sense of that too. I was like, is there something in the testicles with the immunity to the virus? Like, what's going on? Because like he falls in it and they're just like in his face.
That's enough.
It's like, that's just got to be power dynamic. Like, he's just got balls in his
Right.
face. He's at the bottom right
I
now.
want your balls. Even I love, when they get captured and they're in the little prison. And even this writing and the way they acted too, when he's just like, I have to get, like, giving all the exposition, like, we used it for this. It was supposed to be a military weapon.
Yes.
But then they got a hold of it, blah, blah, blah. And I got to get back to my lab and I'm working on a cure.
Yeah.
And then later on, when they're like in the final battle trying to get to the helicopter, and he's like, no, you don't understand. We are the cure. And he immediately gets his head blown up. Which that was another great
Yes.
moment. Another just, and what's funny too is even though it's gory and shit, because I remember just singing in theaters and all of those jokes and moments just hit like pure comedy.
Yeah, because
Like,
it's
I just
the first time it was
laughing at all
completely
of that.
unexpected, and
Yeah.
you're with everybody, and it's
Yeah.
all just it hits so hard.
And you're just like, oh no, we'll go this way. Like, here, you guys follow
Yep.
me. And he just gets boom. And the effect is so great too. Like you even see where it cuts to like the prosthetic like dummy head. I love that shit.
Yeah.
So good, man.
Yeah, Planet Terror, super fun, man. I had so much fun rewatching it.
It's great. It's just a fun ride. And again, a hell of a cast, man. Like Michael Bean, even Tom Savini is in it again, of course, you know.
Dude, Bruce
one of the
Willis.
Bruce Willis,
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
I forgot
and
about
I
Bruce
remember
Willis being
he
in
wasn't
it.
in the trailer or anything. So it was like
Yeah.
a genuine surprise
Yep.
when he appears in that beginning scene.
He's like, "Where's the shit?" The way he says it, dude.
I love later too when he's explaining it all and he just gets all he's like scratching his beard and they're like, "Wait, you killed Bin Laden?"
That's right.
Even though they tied that in.
Yes.
It's even it was funny then, but it's like funnier now.
Yeah,
Just like many years
dude.
later, because yeah, I mean, you remember those days, man. Bin Laden, America's Most Wanted. Like,
I know,
went out, and
dude.
now,
we grew up on that shit. That was like
Yeah.
the biggest thing that we would see on the news every night.
yeah,
Dude,
and
yeah.
now it feels like it's just like a forgotten thing. Like it's a time capsule of a moment.
Complete time capsule. That takes you
Yeah.
back. You're like, oh shit, I
He
remember
wasn't
that.
supposed to be there. We weren't supposed to be there, and I sure as hell wasn't supposed to be the one to punch his dialysis ticket.
That's
You
right,
shot, You
dude.
killed Bin Laden. Yep.
The one-liners.
Put 2 in his heart, 1 in his computer.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Instead of a chest full of medals, we got a face full of DC2.
Dude, that's right.
Man, it's
DC2.
wonderful. Dude, Jeff Fahey, too. I'm forgetting his name in the movie, but the barbecue guy. I feel bad. I'm forgetting
Oh, yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
yeah. The guy who runs the barbecue
But,
place.
oh, my God. He's so funny, too.
Yeah,
man.
his character is great.
He's great. Yeah,
he just
great
lives in that
character.
world so naturally. Yeah. He fucking looks like he's always a little sweaty and dirty.
I love when he's giving the water to Free. He's like, natural or spring water. He's like, I bottle it myself.
Oh,
And she says something about it. And he's like, oh, hell no. I just pull it out from that creek back there. Nah, everything he says is great.
Yeah.
And there's that whole little gag, too, where, you know, Michael Bean, the sheriff, is his brother. And there's like the barbecue sauce recipe.
Oh, yes. And,
they
he gives him the recipe as he's dying.
And they even foreshadow it like way early
Yes.
in the movie. Like I can be bleeding like a stuffed pig. I could be dying in your arms. I ain't gonna tell you.
Right?
We'll see about that. Hang up the phone.
Dude.
Great editing too, man. I forget how good an editor, just how good at everything Robert Rodriguez is. Now, not all of his movies are bangers. I feel like he leans too much into green screen and special effects and just all. And he makes like really odd choices a lot.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people hated Book of Boba Fett because of him. But man, there is still so much talent there.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing I really admire about him is even when you see him nowadays, his like indie film spirit and just his drive and his hunger, I feel has not changed. Like even in his age now and being where he's at, it's pretty cool and amazing to see. Like whenever I watch an interview with him or see behind the scenes of like, oh, here's how I planned out the action scene in the Mandalorian episode or whatever, whatever he's doing now, it's pretty amazing because it seems like, oh, that's still like the 20-year-old broke ass dude just trying to like sell his body to science to get money to make his movie, you know? And not many people still carry that. Now, good or bad, like I think a lot of the stuff he does now isn't good anymore. So a lot of people might argue that it was never good. I think it is. Like I mean, he's a good shooter. He's a good editor, man. Like odd choices, sure, but
no, I like how you said it, dude. Indie film champion, like
dude. Yeah, even now, like this dude is obviously wealthy. He has his own fucking studio.
Yeah,
but even like he stayed in Austin, Texas, and like built his own little film industry.
It's tight
from like these humble beginnings, but still has like he has that attitude, man. And I always try to keep that in mind because you know as you get older, it's harder to like keep that vision, I think, as like an artist and remind yourself where you were young. Because you get caught up in like, well, I have to pay bills and I just got to fucking
there's
live.
pressure from every direction.
Yeah,
Hell
just being a grown up, whatever. But it feels like he still has that same mentality, which I think is fucking
There's
cool.
a freedom in his films, man.
Yeah.
When you watch that, you're just like, oh yeah, he's doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, it might be silly as hell, and you're doing fucking Netflix, We Are Hero, children's Shark Boy, Lava Girl bullshit.
I didn't even know about all that.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't like any of that. But, yo, man, like you're still just doing your thing. And I don't know if you watch Book of Boba Fett. It sucked.
I did not.
And yeah, but man, there's moments where, because he directed a lot of it.
Okay.
And there's moments where you're like, that's fucking Desperado. You know, that's this, that's that. That's all the same shit. But
yep.
Anyway, yeah, no, I love this shit.
Oh, yeah. Man, this whiskey is good, man. This bourbon whiskey, tell you what.
Yeah, you can get more if you want.
Oh, yeah. I'll help myself.
Yeah, have at it. Yeah, we like that.
Nice.
We love that. That and the neck pours. I love, Carlos Gallardo, who played the original El Mariachi, is one of the police officers in this movie.
Yes,
it's like
his
Michael
character's
Biehn
hilarious.
and Tom Savini. And he's the one who like first gets like ripped in half by the car. Fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot to say about the music and the sound design.
Yeah, no, tell me more about that.
Okay, yeah.
So I almost forgot. No, please, go.
It was super cool because I noticed that I felt like they stuck to like all period appropriate synth choices, which was really sick. So I mean, I love analog synths. So I was hearing all these like very late 70s, early 80s, like early Yamaha type synths. They're like very digital sounds, and they're almost like cliche. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? When you're watching like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and he's like, oh, sad note, you know, right. Like, but the way, okay, so there's a way where you can do it where it's like, you can have those sounds and have them be cheesy, but the way that it's produced, I mean, it's so gritty. It's like when you were talking about turning up the grain, those sounds are so crispy. They're so crunchy. And then when you pair that with watching it with film, it just hits really, really nicely. Yeah. So it's like, who cares that it sounds cheesy or campy? Campy is the word that I've heard people use for the sound design. You know, talking about like even like going back to the Tarantino like bowling pin in the fight scenes. You know what I mean? Like in Kill Bill type shit. Yeah, that's right. Like these are super campy sounds. These are not like realistic in any way. But the fact that they're just like so intentional and gritty and dialed up, they're like turned to 11 and crunchy as hell. It's amazing and it's satisfying to the ear.
Yeah, no, and it works. Yeah, it works perfectly with what they're trying to do, and it makes sense to go and dig for that style if that's what they're like replicating.
Yeah, because it's like there's not a lot of opportunities where you get to like do that. Yeah, but here because they have it, they just like go all in, and I love it. There's
some sound design shit that gets me, and I'm glad you reminded me of this. Is I like, you know, because in the last several short films that I've done, it's like fallen on me to do the sound design and not like have anyone else to do it. So I've been trying to pay a lot more attention to this, and I actually really enjoy doing it. It's cool to like see it come together, man.
I'm sure, yeah.
It's pretty dope. Like, and I'm like, wow, this is like a whole new thing now. But I even think little details like when they're in the hospital and all the sick people are rolling in. Yep. And you'll see like them like scratching, they have all the boils or whatever. And there's this like sizzling sound effect whenever you see all that. Like,
it's crispy.
Like a sizzling frying pan sound.
Yeah.
To emphasize all the disgusting like germs and shit on people.
It's not realistic at all. It's like when you look at someone, you wouldn't see their boils sizzling at you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you're so in the film, you're so like...
You feel it. You feel it more than anything.
It's a visceral experience. Yeah. Yeah. And you're fucking there. And you feel like you're watching them scratch and you're grossed out by it because it's like, the sound and the visual.
And then of course, like the great makeup, you know, that like really sells it.
Yeah, super crispy sound design. I love it.
Yeah, just a funny cast of characters and just little events. Even those like twin babysitter girl. And there's that whole thing where they like try to destroy her car. Oh, dude, Marley Shelton, after her hands are numb. When she tries to take the car and she breaks her wrist, that shit is
That
cringy.
was one of the most graphic scenes I had seen in film up to that point. I remember. Dude, it was so intense. The sound too. Yep. Like, I don't know what they used to like make the crunching noises, but it sounds just like bones
and you know
crunching.
It's gonna get when she like slides her hand in there.
You know it's coming.
You know it's gonna
the heels and the wet floor.
Yes,
it's all building up to. Oh yeah, you know. Yeah, and that's why it's like the tension, man. It's a perfect little game of tension release.
Oh yeah, that was the most cringy part. Like beyond all the gore and heads blowing up and all that shit, that was the cringiest part. Is her just like breaking her wrist on the court.
And the way she screams, she's like, "Oh my god!"
Oh man.
Yep. Yeah. And then it miraculously gets fixed at the end, right? Like she I forget what she does, but like maybe
she's just like fine later.
Yeah, she like looks at her hand and she's like, "Oh, it's back! Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, just healed.
Yeah,
that's right. No, because I remember that happened because it's like the drugs wore off that numbed her hands, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, but yeah, I forgot that. Oh, that's right. She broke her fucking hand.
That was another little detail.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. I thought it was maybe. I was like, oh, okay, maybe it was in the injections. She had like another magic, like bone fixing injection or some shit. Who knows?
Even later too. Now all of a sudden she has like a projectile like pistol with her fucking.
Yes.
Oh man.
I think that's how she kills Bruce Willis's character.
Tarantino.
Oh, it's Tarantino. Yeah, it's Tarantino. Yeah. Dude,
well, that and then the grenade launcher on the.
Okay, also gun. Tarantino's dripping genitals.
That was wild.
Was really graphic.
Yeah. Doesn't hold up as well now, that CGI, but I remember in the day.
Yeah.
That was a fucking moment. Dude.
Yeah. Just because it's Tarantino.
And it's funny, it's funny because it's him too. Yeah. Like you wouldn't think they would even do that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got a good amount of screen time on that one. You got some lines.
Did, yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, dude. Hell of a movie. And yeah, the whole cast is just great, dude. Like everybody in that shit is just great. And it's funny too, because even though, Jeff Fahey's character is comic relief and everything, I genuinely get bummed when him and Michael Biehn die. And it's actually, it's funny that somehow it's still, for me, maybe I'm just a loser, I don't know, but it still feels emotional when he's like finally telling it. Like, it's funny. And he even takes out the notepad. He's like, "Oh,
yes."
He's like, "Tomatoes, fresh?" He's like, "Shit, no, canned."
Canned, no that's shit. Right. Yes.
Like, no shit.
No shit. Yeah,
I don't use no goddamn tinfoil. 12 pounds, 12 hours.
That's right.
But I still feel like I get a little emotional when they die right there. Yeah,
they're brothers, man. They're in through thick and thin. You get the you get the whole feel. What's the dude's name? Dude plays the
barbecue guy?
Yeah, the barbecue guy.
Jeff Fahey, I believe.
Oh, Jeff Fahey. Oh, JT was his name. JT, yeah. I just looked it up. Yeah, JT. Yeah, JT.
Damn good barbecue, JT.
JT.
Or damn good sausage, JT.
That's right.
Like when they think he's dead, he just has the sausage.
That was a good moment, too.
Yeah. He's like, there's some delinquents outside. Oh, never mind, they're coming in. He's like, you going to stand there? Or are y'all going to eat?
It's just obviously two zombies.
Yeah.
You can clearly see it through the fucking clear glass of the door.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, that dude, fantastic, man.
JT, that's right. I'll go for some of that barbecue, tell you what.
Dude, yeah. I always want barbecue after I see that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, shit, dude. That's Planet Terror for
Planet Terror. What an event movie. So much fucking fun.
So much fun. Yeah, that's a 10 on the fun scale.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, then this one ends and we get some more trailers, right? Let's open up this Shiner. Are you able to reach
let's get it going.
So now we got two movies, so we got two drinks. And I just figure, they're at that bar a lot. Again, I couldn't find that chartreuse. Yeah. But Shiner Bock, man, that's a good Texas beer for you.
Heck yeah.
Nothing's finer than the Shiner.
So many good bar scenes in Death Proof.
Yeah, man. Great. You can tell they were on location too, man. Like I've been to some cool little Texas dives, man, and like those places are legit. Like they weren't fucking around.
Yeah, so gritty. I just want to sit there and drink with the locals.
And just so much texture and posters.
Yes,
and everything,
the
man.
wood.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Old school jukeboxes
and
shit.
I have so much to say about Death Proof. Right. I fucking love this film.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, first, man, hold on.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, just your like basic kind of lager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forget what the ABV is on this thing,
4.4, not too bad.
We get to the the next round of trailers. We get a Nazi like a
yes.
Nazi exploitation, sexploitation,
werewolf women of the
SS.
Yes.
Rob Zombie, of course. And you got, Tom Tolles and Sherry Moon Zombie, of course, and Bill Moseley, like the classic Rob Zombie actors.
Mm-hmm.
And then, dude, I remember another moment losing my shit in the theater is when all of a sudden in this Nazi movie, and it's like an introducing as Fu Manchu, Nicolas Cage or whatever, dude.
Yes.
Super random.
Yes.
Nothing to do with
Nick
it.
Cage, bro. That's right. He looks
Nicolas
ridiculous
Cage
too.
as Fu Manchu, the full beard,
Yes.
mustache, and all he does is like laugh into the camera. Supposedly, he just did that for free, just as like a favor to Rob Zombie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Are they buddies?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. So according to IMDb trivia, that's all.
I mean, yeah, he didn't look the coolest, so.
The Don't trailer by Edgar Wright, I think is brilliant. And there is a movie.
Okay.
I forgot what movie it is, but
I'm
it's
kind of
literally
bummed.
like a
Okay, so the Don't trailer. I feel like I must have like stood up and walked away or something. I don't remember this one.
You don't?
No, it's right before Death Proof, after Werewolf Women of the SS.
Yeah. It's like Werewolf Women of the SS.
And it's Edgar Wright? Dude, I
It's
fuck
Edgar
with
Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Dude.
Wait.
You have to look it up on YouTube.
Remind me again, what's the premise of this one?
I'm going to pull it up right now. It's like a European like haunted house movie. And it's just fucking hilarious. And as far as cinematography goes, they did an incredible job of making it look like that movie looks like it was from that fucking era. It's like I don't know how they did it and their lighting and everything.
Edgar Wright's editor is like insane.
Well, I think he edits his own shit.
Oh, does he?
I'm pretty
too?
sure he edits his own
yeah,
shit.
the editing and all of his shit
Yeah.
is fucking
Well,
crazy.
he's another like just badass editor.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I love his editing, man. I think that's what makes his films.
Dude, Last Night in Soho, that's his masterpiece, man.
Oh, you like that one?
Last
I
Night in
like Scott
Soho.
Pilgrim. I mean,
Yeah,
just for
Scott
me,
Pilgrim's
just because
badass.
it's fucking. I relate to it so much, you know.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, and then of course because of speaking of Scott Pilgrim, because of Mary Elizabeth
Winstead,
dude, yes, and Scott Pilgrim,
shockingly underutilized.
Such a babe.
In Death Proof. Oh yeah,
but yeah, total crush on her because of Ramona Flowers.
Here we go.
Okay, I think the version that I have doesn't have the trailers, so then. This is Edgar Wright.
Yeah, that's Edgar Wright's trailer.
I don't remember this at all.
Yep.
Yeah, this looks spot on for the period.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's wild.
Is it
man.
even in like a different aspect ratio?
Probably
Yo.
Nick Frost?
Dude. What the fuck?
Like the word
So
becomes
ridiculous.
meaningless.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's just the name of the movie. Don't.
Yeah.
There's
I feel like trailers used to kind of be like that. Though.
Oh yeah. Well, there is, man. I forgot which movie it's for. I wish I took a note of it, but there is a movie trailer, and I've seen it a couple of times in New Beverly because they play the trailers. And there is a trailer that's just like that where it says "don't" a bunch of times, and it's like a pretty well-known horror movie.
Oh, okay.
I just
you think that's
cannot
like the
remember
source
which
content
one.
for the spoof?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Because it was a popular movie too. It's not like some deep cut like underground shit.
Okay.
But yeah, I just think I remember that was just so hilarious and aesthetically like incredibly on point.
Oh yeah.
And even to the
It looks like it came out VHS.
yeah, even to the if you're thinking of seeing this movie alone, don't. Just ends there. But yeah, so that Edgar Wright just on point. And then of course, man, Thanksgiving. You got to get that Eli Roth trailer and Thanksgiving, very Halloween 2 vibes.
The Thanksgiving
Dude,
trailer.
Just wild. And did you see? And then he finally made the movie just last year, 2023.
I didn't.
You didn't see it?
No.
Dude, it's good. I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy Thanksgiving.
Sick.
I didn't talk about it on the podcast last year, but I'm going to talk about it this year because I was like, you know what? Let me give it 1 year. I'll revisit it. But I saw it in theaters twice.
Oh, nice.
I really enjoyed it. It's really good. I think you would dig it too.
Dude, I'm sure. That would be sick to watch around Thanksgiving for sure.
Just a classic like slasher.
Dude, yes.
Some good.
I like Eli
humor
Roth
and
too.
Very modern, you know.
Tight. Yeah,
shit.
somehow I missed that. I didn't realize that he made it. That's
he
sick.
made it like pretty quick too, like between like 2 other movies.
Okay.
I just remember seeing him post it on Instagram, and it's like, cool, it's done.
Yeah.
Oh shit, there's a release date. Like, wow, you just fucking churn this one out.
Hell yeah.
Quite a bit different from the trailer. Like they didn't try to make it look that way. Like there's some shot, like some of the key shots and moments that are in the trailer happen, but they didn't make it look like
it's like
an old
loosely
movie.
based off of the same concept. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Dude,
Super sick.
Death Proof. So now we're in Quentin Tarantino's realm here, and he shot this movie too. He's the cinematographer, so he shot it himself.
Yeah, man.
You know?
So you were talking earlier about just like the film and shooting this on film, right? Especially the car scenes in the second half look so fucking good on film. It's like it's just like the nostalgia's there, the impact is there, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so fucking, you couldn't ask for anything better. Like that's exactly how you want to see car films or car scenes filmed.
And no one's done it quite like that since. That's for damn sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that he keeps being able to dig into genres he's a fan of. And, you know, people criticize him for this, for just kind of ripping a lot of things off or whatever, being a buyer, whatever, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's undeniable that he takes these ideas, these concepts, genres, stuff that has been done, but then he does it again in the freshest, coolest way.
Yes.
You know, they've referenced Vanishing Point, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry,
all
Gone
the cars,
in 60 Seconds.
the three cars,
original one,
yes.
not the new bullshit, not the Angelina Jolie
not
bullshit.
that Angelina Jolie bullshit. Yeah.
But, you know, so obviously, like, he puts the influences out there. But then to take it the next step of like, I'm gonna make this like the dopest car, like chasing kind of.
So I feel like this thing was almost all referential. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing. I feel like he used this referential kind of like backbone. To me, this is what I get from when I watch Death Proof. I feel like it's a love letter to someone like Zoe Bell and stunt people. Obviously, like we get this more when we get into fucking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Tarantino's love for like these underdogs of the film industry, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So especially in the writing, you know, like you got the classic Tarantino diner scene where they're there and they're all like talking. They're kind of like the girls are talking shit to each other,
the
but
Reservoir Dog shot,
the exact same fucking shots. Yes, and then they're all basically like hyping up Zoe, right? They're kissing her ass and they're like, yeah, she's the real badass, you know, because she's a stunt woman or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, that's what this movie is about. Is I feel like he used all these sick ass references from like these 6 stunt movies, and he just used it to tell this story about these girls that come back, and it's like they come back and like the prey becomes the fucking predator. You know what I mean?
And to cast, you know, Zoe Bell, like you mentioned, who was Uma Thurman's stunt double in Kill Bill.
Yes.
But to cast her playing herself pretty much. So they're leaning
she's
into
the only
that.
I think she's the only one too.
Yeah, real stunt person playing a stunt person, playing herself. And I love just the brilliance of it, of like, hey, we're like, you're going to be the character in this movie, and you're going to do the stunt, so that like when we do all this shooting, like it's you. Yeah. And you really start to appreciate, man, like how it's like, oh, you can get all these angles and do all these shots that you could never do and that we haven't seen before. Yeah. Because you always have to hide the fact that's a stunt person. Yeah. So you're limited in what you can do because you have to edit and shoot it a certain way. Yeah. But here we just see her. We see her face. We know it's her. Yeah. She's on the hood of this car doing a crazy.
The stakes are high.
Yeah, man. Every time I watch it, it does feel shorter and shorter. Sure. But it still is exciting, man. Like it's one I can't watch too often because when I need a lot of time to pass so that when I come back to it, I have that same appreciation.
It's a slow burn.
Crazy
because it takes a long time to build up to the whole intensity of the car chases. Yeah, you have the big, and then you have the whole first section where it's just like the exposition of like his whole method. You know, the whole first scene with Jungle Julia and the gang.
And it's interesting because it's very much like 2 different movies too. It's like 2 movies in one. Yes. Like even tonally, just like the tone, the vibe, like even the setting where
the colors,
Texas, and then now we're in Tennessee, whole different group of girls. Right. But I like that aspect of it. Yeah. Yeah. Whole different vibe from the first segment. One thing that I thought was funny is I'm guessing this must be intentional. It's gotta be.
Well, like Tarantino, you know it is.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's, you know, Jungle Julia and Jordan Ladd and the other chick, Butterfly.
Butterfly, yeah.
And Jordan Ladd's doing like the Texas accent, laying it on kind of thick, right? Jungle Julia, Sidney Poitier's daughter, right? Like, oh yeah, man, I'm forgetting her name, but Butterfly. isn't even putting on like any kind of Texas accent. She sounds like she's from the East Coast.
She says she's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Or some
okay.
shit.
Yeah, something, right? Like one of the East Coast, New York, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
Dude, that's what I thought.
And I think that's so funny that it's like, I wonder if it was in the character. It's like, oh, you moved to Texas, which seems unlikely. It just feels like, hey, just talk the way you really talk.
Right.
Because in these exploitation movies, like no one's fucking paying attention to that shit, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So you just have like a total fucking Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, they did have
out
a
here
bunch
in
of
Austin,
Texas.
Texas.
That's right.
His dialogue, man, even in this, like, whereas Robert Rodriguez wrote funny shit that doesn't make sense and everything, Quentin is still just fucking turning it on.
He's firing on all cylinders, man. There's some really fucking slick writing in here.
Yeah.
Definitely. Some sleeper lines, too. Some really sick shit that just kind of goes like,
dude, give me some of those sleepers, man.
Well, anything that Stuntman Mike says, man, where like
all of it.
His replies, he's just so witty and slow with his remarks. But so when he first is Rose McGowan is now playing the blonde girl, right? Yeah. And she's asking for the ride, and he never gets himself in trouble, right? He's so smooth. He's just like, well,
working up to my big drink,
working up to
virgin pina colada.
Yeah, where he's like, well, I'm not asking, right? But he's like, but if and when I'm ready to leave,
Dude,
you are too.
Yes,
well, then you can come with me. You know what I mean? He's just like so fucking sure.
I
like,
love that.
Yeah, so sure of himself, and the timing on his lines is so fucking great.
Yeah, no, he's great, and yeah, Kurt Russell like really delivers that Tarantino dialogue.
Yeah, he gets top billing, man. He's you know it.
I always too like go into that aspect of it. Those close-up shots of him eating the nachos.
Oh, yes.
And like the greasy, wet fingers, and he's like licking it.
Yes.
I have to eat nachos after I see this movie, dude. I had them like that week I watched this movie.
Yeah.
I had nachos like 2 days ago.
I know. I want to go to the bar right now and get nachos.
Everything.
And you know,
it's all close up and shit.
I have a spiritual connection with Stuntman Mike. I have a tattoo of the hood of his car on my arm.
There it is, yeah.
I have, so ladies and gentlemen, I actually have tattooed on my body the skull, the death proof skull and crossbones that's on the hood of Stuntman Mike's car, the first car, the Chevy Nova that gets wrecked. Yeah. Because I ride a motorcycle, and so me, because he's such a badass. Another one, he's like, when he's describing the car, he's talking about how it's death proof, and that's the kind of mentality I want to have when I'm driving. I want to be death proof.
No, he's so great too, and he doesn't seem at all like he's gonna be a bad guy till it happens. Like he plays it off. He's so charming and so nice.
Absolutely.
And I love when she says, like, one of my favorite lines is the when she asks him, like, well, why would you be at a bar if you don't drink or whatever? And he's like, well, a bar offers all kinds of good things.
Yeah, he's like,
besides just alcohol.
He's like, alcohol,
like, what? He's like, women. He's like, nacho grande nacho platters.
Yes.
The company of some fine, interesting.
Yeah, the way and you got to say it in that way too. Yeah, the company of some fine, interesting people. He's like alcohol is just the lubricant between all these interactions.
That's Quentin, man.
Yeah, brilliant.
Quentin Warren. I love too. This is, and my friend always brings this up. Just these really great directing choices. When she asks him his name, and he's like Stuntman Mike, And she's like, you really a stuntman? And he's like, yeah. And she asked the bartender, Warren, Quentin Tarantino, who's off screen. Yes. And the camera just stays on her. It doesn't go to him. He's off screen. And she's like, hey, because he says, you can ask anyone in this bar.
Ask anyone around who I am.
He's like, Warren, who is this guy? He's like, Stuntman Mike.
Stuntman Mike. He's a stuntman.
And what does he do? He's a stuntman. But I love something about just those little choices of like, we're not going to cut to him. He's just going to stay off screen.
I noticed a lot of that too. Okay. Actually, another one that I noticed was in some of the conversations around tables when the camera is kind of, like dolling around everybody.
Kurt Russell in the background of that second part. Yep. Dude. Watching them. I love that.
Oh yeah. But there's so many times where you would see the it's all planned out, right? So the actor's delivering the line on camera. Yeah. And then the camera will go behind, from the right shoulder back to the left shoulder through so you see their backs, you don't see their face, but you only see their face as they're just delivering the second half of their line.
Right.
And it still feels like perfectly like you didn't drop a beat. And I was like, wow, that's sick. So smooth. And I noticed that a couple times, and I was like, really cool.
Yeah, he has a way of just even making those dialogue scenes super engaging, man. Mm-hmm. And then again, coming down to his writing, and it's funny how I feel like I'd be interested to see if there's other people that don't feel this way, but man, he can write women too, homie.
That was what I was thinking, dude. He writes women so funny.
Like their whole dynamic, all the girls in the beginning from the car talking about scoring weed and I don't want to be dependent on their ass or whatever all night. And even the whole I'm gonna butcher it, so I have to be careful, but when they're explaining what they promised on the radio, if some good looking or not good looking, but better be extremely funny looking guy.
Funny, but not funny looking.
Yeah.
But cute enough for you to fuck.
Yeah. With the way, they rattle all that off. I'm like, dude, like you fucking wrote that. Like,
and it becomes a
cadence.
cadence.
Where did that come from? Yeah.
Yes.
And he knows like just the right actors to get that can like, that's a perfect word, the cadence that understand like the rhythmic quality of his words and can deliver it as such.
So
like
fucking good.
I think to me, like some of the best examples, the Hateful Eight, man, where everyone like just knows how to deliver his fucking lines.
Yeah.
That's why he talks about, like Samuel Jackson so much. He's like, dude, he knows how to do Tarantino dialogue. It's in him. It's meant to be.
Yeah, dude. But what you said about Tarantino writing women, this one. Okay, so this is what I noticed. Obviously, Tarantino's written some great women. I'm thinking of, obviously The Bride, but then Pam Grier.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, Jackie Brown. But so what I was noticing about like a lot of the dialogue and the stuff that they're talking about, like, is very much about like dating, right? So they're all talking about like, oh, I'm flirting with these guys, and then the next group of girls is kind of like talking about the same thing. They're talking about sex, and the girls are like, oh, what did you give him? They're like, oh, you better break this dude off some, like, you know what I mean? So they're all like having fun with each other, but they're all like
sucking them. You're not fucking them.
So
but the stand-in is
right.
And you're mad at him or whatever it was.
The stand-in for Daryl Hannah. Yeah. By the way, another Tarantino reference. Yeah. Yes. So Daryl Hannah, fucking
L Driver.
L Driver from
Kill Bill. Yep.
But I completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
How he writes women and
So there's this like sexual undertone happening, right? Because you have these dynamics between men and women at the bar, right? And then you have the next layer of that dynamic where you have Stuntman Mike and how they're talking about how, so when Earl McGraw comes back in and he's describing the motive for the killing,
probably
he's
the
like,
only way he can shoot his goo.
Yeah, right. So he's like, he got to kill all four women live taken at the same instant.
At the same exact time.
Yeah. So it's just like, there's that sexual aspect, right? Yeah. Okay. And then this is what I noticed on the very last time, when they're finally chasing down Stuntman Mike and he's on the run after he's all shot up, right? When she, I forget her name, the driver.
I forget too. I gotta look it up. I'm surprised she hasn't come back in any of his movies.
she was sick. So when she's on Stuntman Mike's tail, all the dialogue is completely sexual.
Kim.
She's like, Kim's like, come on,
tap that ass.
I'm gonna tap that. I'm gonna get that. Like, I want it, right? So now the roles have been reversed, and it's her taking out her sexual pleasure on Stuntman Mike, and he's just like, dude. And then the comedy of him yelling just like a bitch at the end. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's funny. Tarantino talked about in an interview how, because they were gonna do like the horror thing for this, right, to take on that, and how he was like, all right, I'm watching a bunch of slashers getting back, I'm gonna do like a slasher thing, and then it evolved into he's like, oh, so maybe I want to do this car thing. So that's it. It's like a slasher movie, but he's using the car, and this is why. And he brought up even there's that same like that sexual layer to it.
Yes.
He's like, there's this thing where there's some people that are into like car accidents and crashes are like a turn on. So what if there's the dude and he gets to do that, but his car is death proof, so he can keep doing it and he's gonna survive. Man, and
he's a stunt man. Hey.
Yep. And I love that. That Earl McGraw stuff again too. Like, you really think that, Pa? And it's just like fucking Or what does he say? He's like, well, since it ain't illegal to think, I can think it, and I do, or whatever he says, you know?
And then even, so there's a part too where he's like, so what he should do is...
Goddamn giant, shoot him up, spit him out.
And then he's like, so what you gonna do, Pa? He's like, well, I could report it, you know, and do all this fucking work. He's like, I could just go home and watch NASCAR. And you know what? That's kind of pivotal. If he would have reported it, maybe we wouldn't have gotten the second half of the film.
Yep.
Maybe,
but no evidence. No.
Yeah.
He's like, all them girls hopped up on booze and weed, and he came out clean.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe if Earl McGraw hadn't decided to just go home and watch NASCAR, the other group of girls would have been saved. Well,
never did like that, son of a bitch. Useless as a pecker on a pope.
Pecker on a pope. That's right.
Man, he's great. R.I.P. Michael Parks. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, all that writing. And it's interesting how they even introduce this little side plot that doesn't go anywhere, though, where, you know, Jungle Julia is like the badass of the group and super confident and
the
just not about the guys, you know, the radio DJ. But she'll go out by herself and text that guy on the phone.
Oh,
and
right,
like the closest but it doesn't even add up to anything.
That's right, yeah.
But it's interesting, that like little side character stuff. Kick-ass soundtrack, by the way. Another amazing Quentin Tarantino soundtrack.
So good.
And one little reference I like was there's a part when Kurt Russell talks to them outside when they're like smoking on the patio of the bar.
Okay.
And when he starts talking, like, you look familiar, you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she calls him because there's the billboard in the background or whatever.
Yep.
And she calls him Zatoichi, which is like the blind. It was like this old
I didn't catch that
show, and I think a couple movies, Japanese swordsman, like the blind swordsman. And I thought that was a funny little reference.
Whoa,
of course, it's
I didn't even catch that one. Sick.
And this was the thousands of times, or many times I watched this movie, not thousands, but many times I watched this movie. I never caught that till this most recent watch. That she calls him that, I think, once or twice, which is pretty funny. And it's like only in a Quentin Tarantino movie does the radio DJ Jungle Julia know who Zatoichi is.
Of course. Yeah. Jungle Julia's taste also is impeccable. Like, there's no way Jungle Julia out here in Austin, Texas, knows about Pete Townsend leaving the Who to go join this random. But that song, the song that she dies to.
Great song.
The fucking song she dies to, dude. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Julie's got impeccable taste.
Man, I love the way they build up to that music playing and him speeding ahead and turning around and headlights. And just when it gets to the very peak of the song is the headlights on. And I love showing the crash from the three different perspectives.
Yeah, the multiple shots. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So good.
And I've watched the behind the scenes on that with Canby Effects. So it was like Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger and Bob Kurtzman like did those effects. It's cool. I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube, the behind the scenes, and it's pretty cool to see like the dummies they built and that crazy part when the tire like goes through her face and like rips her face off. It's wild, man.
It's so graphic. I always think about the leg, just the leg flying, Julia's leg, and then the way it hits the concrete. It's like
it just bounces. And everybody, it's such a great setup to already make you feel uncomfortable. Because when they're because you know at this point he's gunning for him, right?
Oh yeah.
And so you see her that she has her leg out there and you know it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, you're already super uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt, even when he kills Rose McGowan in the car, well, first off, when she gets in and he's explaining it's death proof and he's just like, look at the positive. I'm not going to be putting my hand on your lap.
I'm not getting all fresh with you. Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that sounds good. And there's a moment when she gets in and he like throws the cigarette and he looks into the camera.
Dude.
It like winks at the camera.
Yes.
In any other circumstance, that would be dumb as hell. But it is perfect. Like it's I can't imagine a movie without that little
you know what
Kurt
I
Russell
thought?
is so charming too.
This is what I thought. I was like, he knows that we're watching, and he's like, I've played all my cards perfectly up to this point. He's like, this night has gone exactly how I wanted to. He's like, I'm going to get all of them. He's like, I've got all of them exactly where I want them.
God, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that breaking the fourth wall stuff.
Yeah.
There's way less of it in Death Proof than in Planet Terror.
Yeah.
So that's why when I was watching it because especially after watching Planetary, I'm like looking for all this stuff that reminds you're watching a movie, you know?
Right.
But yeah, a lot less of it in Death Proof. But then also that made me think, why intentionality? Like,
yeah, I think it just Quentin, like Robert Rodriguez is more into the just fantastical, and Tarantino's gonna shoot you straight. Yeah, even when he's doing like Kill Bill is still crazy and fantastical to a degree. Yeah, but he's still gonna get you with all that drama and ground enough elements of it.
Yeah, and it all ties into the story so perfectly. Like it would be in some Ed Mike's character to fucking wink like that.
Yeah, yeah. It is brutal when he kills her too, man. When he like slams the brake and she like breaks her teeth and shit all over the metal, man. And then just all like metal pipes and bullshit. Yep.
Like, and yeah, another one is some Ed Mike's lines, right? When he's like, are you going left or you going right?
Yes.
Right? He's like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
If you would have been going right, or, you know, because he's going left.
And he draws it out, too. He's just like, well, there's a 50-50 chance you'd be going left, you know, but you chose right. Thing is, we're both going left. It's
like so you're going to have to start getting scared immediately.
Like if you could have just as well been going left, too. Then it would have been a while before you got scared.
Yeah. And then she just starts screaming. She loses it at that point. Yeah. Then you're in full horror mode.
Yeah.
Full horror mode at that point.
And again, just the build up to that is really amazing.
Brutal. The one fucking hard break too, and it just crushes her.
Yeah. Ugh. It's too bad.
You know what I was thinking too was cool. What I appreciate about a lot of the Tarantino gore stuff, I feel like he doesn't like. There was some moments that were maybe a little cliche, but not very. So like, it's very subtle, right? So like, think about the bloody hand on the glass sliding down.
Yeah,
it's a classic shot, right?
Yeah.
Rose McGowan's character does that in there, but it's like very subtle and it's believable because she's like trying to get her. She's like off balance in the car. She's sliding around. You know what I mean? So you still get that shot. It's a classic shot. It's like the character's dying shot,
and
right?
It's reasonable.
But yeah, it fits. It doesn't feel at all like, oh.
And I love that they shoot it from the camera in her
the car,
like through the glass.
It feels
through the blood to him.
Claustrophobic in there.
Yeah. No, I love all that, man.
Super sick.
Dude, Eli Roth and his little cameo is really funny too. Him and two of the other Inglorious Bastards.
Yes. Every time I see those,
like their audition.
I cannot think of them not as the bastards.
Yeah.
So what was his name in the? Okay, I always think of the one scene, the Margaretti.
Donowitz.
Okay, Donowitz.
Eli Roth's character in Inglorious, but he was Donowitz.
His character. Okay, but who was Donowitz's the fake Italian name that he gave him? What was that?
Do you remember Omar Doom was Dominic DeCoco.
And then
no, I think he was Margaretti.
Oh yeah, he was Margaretti.
Because Brad Pitt was Gorlami.
Gorlami. Yes, that's right. So it's Dominic DeCoco.
Dominic DeCoco. Margaretti.
Antonio Margaretti. And then that's Gorlami. Why is that so fucking funny, dude? Dominic DeCoco.
Just so over the top.
I know, it's ridiculous. Every time I hear a name that's like slightly close to like Italian or French or anything, I just do it in that voice to be annoying.
It's forever in my mind. Like I always think like whenever I think of like like ordering a margarita, I always want to say that out loud. Like, got it. You know? That dude, Dominic DeCoco,
man.
Omar Doom actually, there was a period where he was coming into Monty Bar a lot when I was working there.
Oh, really?
I never talked to him, but there was a minute where he was there frequently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Their characters in Death Proof, they're just like the skis ass dudes trying to get to the lake house. It's like they've fallen a long way from killing Nazis, tell you what. Well, I guess this was before killing Nazis.
Yeah.
This is 2 years. This might be their origin story. Yeah. Damn, they were just good old Texas boys before they were killing Nazis. Maybe.
It's just funny too how the movie like. It's another thing that doesn't really amount to anything, too, where the girls, like, we established that all right, they're hanging out with the boys, but they don't want them to go to Lake House,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But we get this like little side moment of them talking about their plan.
Yeah.
Does it like, we're no more fucking around. We're moving out. We're moving the Jaeger bombs.
Yes.
These girls aren't going to drink.
They're not going to drink
bombs.
Jaeger.
Long as the man is buying the booze, a bitch will drink anything.
Yeah, that's right. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's like, you know, couple more rounds, couple more Jaeger shots.
Yeah.
He's like, and then you know what? No guys at the lake house
Becomes
turns into a couple of guys
at the lake house. And he's like, the bar wisdom has been passed down.
Oh man, what does he say? Does that look like Smokey the Bandit? Or what does he say? Like, did BJ forget the bear?
Oh yeah, when they're making fun of Kurt Russell.
Cut himself getting out of his time machine.
Oh, I know. That's not. If I was them, that's not a guy you're gonna be fucking with. Are you kidding me? I would not be talking shit under my breath about Kurt Russell sitting at the bar 2 fucking seats down from me. Are you kidding me? They should have gotten whacked.
That shit's great. Even just their little dialogue and their whole little goofy ass plan.
Oh, yeah.
Jaeger bombs. I'm like,
I know, right?
Eli Roth is like too good at playing those kinds of roles. I love him and he seems cool, but man, he's good at playing an
skis
asshole.
guy.
Did you ever see that HBO show, The Idol? With Lily Rose Depp?
I don't think so.
I wonder if you'd be interested in it because it's the one where she is like a pop singer, and it's from the dude Sam Levinson, the dude who made Euphoria. So I don't know if you're into Euphoria, but
yeah, I watched Euphoria.
It's that
cool.
Same director and the same cinematographer,
Gotcha.
so they like shot on film. But it's about like this music industry shit and like culty stuff.
And is it about like a child star?
Kind of, yeah. She's like a teenager. It's Lily Rose Depp. I guess she's supposed to be whatever age she is. But she's like a pop star who's like super wealthy and shit. And the first episode, I know I'm saying a detour, but is all I just because I know you're into the music industry and shit, so I think you'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is you meet all her like people, like her PR and her managers and this.
Right.
And I don't even know what half of them do. And her creative director. And it's like the fucking posse that's like behind who the talent, quote unquote, is.
Yep.
And Eli Roth is one of them. I don't even know exactly what he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But he's like this rich asshole dude. And it's just fucking funny. He's only in a couple episodes, but he's in the first one. And it's like, he's such a dickhead, but he plays it so well. And because it's him, it's like almost comical. Because he's not like an actor first and foremost. So I remember being very surprised that he was even in it. But this reminds me of that, like just his
if Eli Roth is worth it to check out for sure.
Bad in Union.
So you said HBO, right?
Yeah.
I just re-upped, so like I'm gonna be able to catch up on all my HBO shit.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. I mean, most people hated it. It didn't get good audience or critical acclaim, but I liked it. But yeah, man. You know, I found out fairly recently too that I don't know if you're a fan of Big Trouble in Little China. One of John Carpenter's best movies. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah.
But his shirt that Kurt Russell wears is like hanging up in the bar. I think behind the bar at Warren's. I remember someone pointed it out to me.
Oh, that's sick. I would have never noticed that. That's awesome.
I do love, again, and this is Kurt Russell charm pulling this off along with Tarantino's writing, is when he does confront her about the lap dance thing and does the poem.
Mm-hmm.
And all that.
The Robert Frost poem.
Yeah.
Which also just ties in perfectly to the theme too, man, because it's such a mysterious, weird poem about death.
I didn't even think about that. I really didn't.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, because it's almost like his last words, right? It's almost like a swan song type of thing where you know this guy's kind of like, he's out in the snow, he's fucking dying. You don't know if he's like saying, and miles to go before I sleep. You know, is he is he nodding off? Is he going to be able to get back up? So I think most people take it as like he's kind of fucking and miles to go before I sleep, and then he kind of dies, you know, right there in the snow or whatever. But anyway, I always thought of it as that poem connected to death and like these kind of final last words. And for him to say that to recite that to them is very ominous in a very cool way.
He does it so well too. He tries to be kind of romantic about it, feels.
Yeah.
But I love too when he's even telling her that he doesn't believe she did it. And when he kind of breaks it down, he's like, I bet you thought
yeah.
people were going to be pestering you all night.
Yeah.
But then they didn't. He's like, that kind of hurt you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Love that, dude. Just
Yeah,
like,
it's like
ropes
wounded
her in.
butterfly.
Yeah, dude, ropes her in.
And she's like, and why would I be wounded?
Yep. He's like, kind of hurt your feelings, didn't it?
He thought boys would be pestering you all night. That's right. He gets right on her skin.
Yep.
And then he's like, he does the whole John Wayne.
The John Wayne impression, just
Dude.
which is what he does in Big Trouble in Little China, man. Just
So
like fucking
good.
John
And I
Wayne.
recently watched Full Metal Jacket too. So that John Wayne impression was
Yeah.
also in my mind.
Just like that.
It's exactly like the fucking
like Private Joker.
like Joker's impression of John Wayne. Yeah. You know?
And everyone I know goes in this book.
Yep.
Well, that's it. I'm gonna have to file you
You're under chicken shit. That gets under her skin. She doesn't like
That
that.
does it, yeah.
That's what does it for her, and she does it.
Yeah.
A pretty
Love that.
Yeah, the music too during her whole lap dance. Yeah, and you can tell the sexual dynamic that's happening between Kurt Russell. I mean, he has this smile on his face when she agrees to it. Like he's
Yeah.
weaseled his way into it.
Yeah.
Like to me, like this is like foreshadowing of when he's gonna smirk at the camera later. Because
Right, okay.
this whole night he's working. He's
Yeah.
working the room. He's working these girls. He's working.
Taking his time,
He's
that
working.
long
He's
con.
working Rose. He's working Warren. He's working
Yeah.
everybody. You know what I'm saying? So finally, then he gets the lap dance. So imagine this. Not only is he going to kill all the girls, right? But he's going to get her to give him a lap dance and
Right
dance for
before.
him before he kills her.
Yeah.
How fucking twisted, dark, and weird, sadistic, sexual
Yeah.
is that? You know what I mean? You got her to perform for you before you fucking offed her. The tire just...
Yeah, it's wrecked.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gives this little smile and it's just like, whoa, he's twisted.
He did it. Yep. So good, man.
Classic.
Then we get into that next segment, man. And I mean, just more good dialogue. And
Yeah,
it's
so-
funny. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching, I think you were explaining to me the extended cut with, I've been watching a bunch of
Yeah.
deleted scenes. So when you walked in here, I was watching that black and white scene. So is that black and white scene not in...
It's not in the theatrical cut. Yeah.
Okay.
I think all the added scenes are in that black and white in the DVD version or whatever. But yeah, that's not in the theatrical at all.
Okay.
Like he never encounters them until he like comes at him with the car. Which is like it starts with him taking pictures of them, but after that, and then when they're in the diner and they're doing the Reservoir Dogs shot, like he's in the background at the counter. And there's a moment when the camera's going around where he like looks back.
And you
it's
see him, and
super
you just see him there.
subtle.
Yeah, that's very subtle.
He's just watching.
Very subtle.
It helps make it feel like a whole other movie because they don't even really. Besides that, they don't bring him in at all until he's attacking them.
That changes things a lot because there's a lot of like weirdness that happens. You know, when he like
where he's like stalking them and he's like touching her foot when they're at the liquor store.
He licks his finger and then he like rubs his beard on her feet. I don't know if you remember that. Well, you haven't been. I've been watching the deleted scenes.
I've seen it. Once
so
or
there's
twice,
there's this part where he does the whole thing where he like goes up to her. The girls are distracted. The one girl's in the front seat singing. Winston's character, right?
Yeah.
The other girl goes inside to the ATM. And so the girl with the feet are out the window, right? He licks his finger, and then she's like asleep. She doesn't know what's going on. Nope. And then he actually gets up there and like gets his beard and like rubs it on her feet.
Awful.
I noticed that. I was like, what? No way. Yeah. Maybe they took that out because without that, you don't see how psychotic he is.
Yeah. I think it takes away some of the mystery.
Sure.
Well, and also it's like with the full Grindhouse experience, it's like, it's already pretty long. So they probably wanted to keep it down to like 90 minutes max for a movie.
Right. Yeah, for timing's sake, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I mean, again, he's just so good at writing these characters and how they don't, even though he has this like rhythmic quality to his writing, they don't all sound the same. Like it feels like they still have their own voice.
Yes,
and
they're
that's
all
just
unique.
what amazing. It's like on one hand, you can tell it's his writing because everyone does talk a certain way that's like not even quite realistic. The more I think about it, but yet they still have a voice.
Definitely
that's
not realistic.
to them.
You know what I heard someone say about Tarantino's dialogue one time that made sense to me? They said Tarantino doesn't write dialogue, or he doesn't write humans communicating as we are. He's like he writes as we could be.
I like that. Yeah.
And I was like, that's sick, actually, because especially when you come to a character like Jules, it's like everything he says sounds premeditated without sounding premeditated.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like he's just had these deep thoughts inside of him.
Yeah.
All these characters have just had these fucking deep realizations about life and shit, and they're just ready to pop off at any moment.
That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like they have their own voice.
So you can tell it's Tarantino, but each of them,
but they have their
own
voice.
unique idea and voice.
Oh yeah, no. To your point, what's interesting too, though, is it's like I feel like he comes up with such interesting little phrases that a lot of it is stuff that he's heard before, and that's what's interesting. Is when he grew up, he was definitely surrounded by some characters, man, because.
A lot of culture.
A lot of culture, man. A lot of
the Valley culture, a lot of Black culture, a lot of hood culture. Like, there's no way he can write all this stuff without having grown up in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I heard somebody say that once, and he's just like, I guess he's just good at like logging that stuff and like using it for characters later. But I just love the way they chat back and forth, and you get to know just kind of who they are, where they all stand on things, like in this diner scene. Like, like you said, they praise Zoe Bell, like she's the badass and this and that. But also there's the whole story about, there was the pit. And Rosario Dawson is talking about, and I warned Zoe not to walk through it, but then she fell in. And, but she was able to just jump out and she was fine. If I fell in, they would have had the helicopter my ass out of there.
Foreshadowing what would later happen.
Yeah. And I love that. But then the other chick, Kim, is like, well, you're missing the most important point of that story is the fact that you didn't fall in. You didn't. And you even warned her and she still fell in. So everyone's got their skill set, And I love the whole thing about the gun. And she's like, I'd be doing my laundry at midnight or whatever. I don't want to, worry about getting raped or whatever. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is like, don't do like all snarky. Don't do your laundry at midnight then, which is totally something someone would say.
Yes.
And she's like, bitch, I'll do it whenever I want to.
Right. That's right.
It's like you can carry a knife. You know what happens to people that carry knives?
They get
fucking shot.
That's right.
Yeah. And all of it is just great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, that scene, like the whole car chase part, like,
oh man, when it transitions finally into like the car chase, man, it just like the tempo changes and I feel like I'm watching Dukes of Hazzard or some shit. Like, it's just all the shots are so classic and the setting is so America. It's fucking, you're in Texas where we're seeing American fucking muscle cars just ripping down highways. It feels great. It feels amazing watching this shit on film.
It's cool. I can't imagine like the logistics of like shooting that stuff, man, and scheduling.
Planning every
how long
shot.
Everything's got to be like so meticulous, and especially with her on the hood, dude. And there's this. One of my favorite moments that always puts me on the edge of my seat is, she's like on the hood, but she's facing in towards her friends that are driving. And there's a part where he bumps her and she does like a 180 on the fucking hood and is now like facing forward.
Yes.
And oh my God, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Can we talk for a second about the cars? Because each of the cars is a reference to a film. And you mentioned each of the films earlier, but I don't know if we like linked each one to each of the films. So the White Challenger. So, okay, this is also really cool too. It's almost like the good and evil, the black and the white, right? So you got the White Challenger from fucking Vanishing Point, right? And then you have first the black Chevy Nova, which I forget what movie it was a reference to. Do you know off the top of your head which?
I don't actually.
Okay. And then, but the ones that they reference, here's the thing. In that scene, the Reservoir Dogs scene, when the girls are going around, they're talking, each of the movies, they reference the 3 movies that the cars are from in that scene.
Yeah.
So one is Vanishing Point, one is
Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry.
Yeah. And so then, the second car, the black Challenger that I think
Kurt Russell has
is from that movie. And then the third, and then the Mustang is from Gone in 60 Seconds. The 1974 Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah. Yeah. The Mustang is from that. It's almost the exact same one as they had in that one, the black and yellow one. The little pussy wagon. But yeah, every single one of those cars is like a reference to another film, another fucking iconic film and like car fucking chase scenes shit.
I love that. Yeah, I honestly haven't seen all those movies yet.
I haven't either, but I'm going to add them to my list. I'm gonna start with Vanishing Point probably.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see that one for a while. I think, I think Susan George is in that movie, or maybe I think she's in Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which has me more interested in
Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry.
Yeah, I think it's Susan George.
Okay,
but yeah, man. I mean, the scene's crazy. I feel like there's not much else to say about it. Just like you've seen it or you haven't,
right?
And if you're listening to this, I hope you've seen it. You just got to see it.
Okay, the last thing though, the abrupt ending is pretty fucking hilarious too.
I remember that being quite shocking.
It was super. Okay, so you get the last like 10 minutes, you finally have Kurt Russell's character breaking down, screaming out like a little girl.
Yeah.
And okay, this is what I'm noticing too. So when he's shot, he drives off and he's fucking like, he's all trying to bandage himself up. He gets the bourbon out of his thing. He's just like, fucking why? Like, why? And he's all pouring it on himself. You know what I mean? The timing of that scene, it's like, he'll like do something, right? And then like there's space for the theater to just laugh. You know what I mean? There's like this perfect space there. And then there's like comedic timing, and then he'll wait a few seconds, and then he'll scream out again. And then but it's with more intensity, and it builds up, and it just gets fucking funnier and funnier.
That's such a good point.
Dude, until when they finally get him at the very end, they spin him out and they start beating the shit out of him, and he's just like screaming at the top of his lungs like a little girl.
And they're pulling him out of the car.
Yes,
I like that the steering wheel is still in his hand too.
Yes.
When they take him out.
Do you remember how hilarious that was?
I do.
When we first watched it, like I remember that was the funniest part of the entire like 3-4 hours of the Grindhouse experience.
Yeah.
Was watching Kurt Russell scream like a girl at the very end, because you're not expecting it. But
well, just the like when they're beating him up and it's the wide shot and it goes to like freeze frames, and then it just says the end, and it was like, what?
That's it. That's all.
We
folks.
did all of this to get to this point. Yeah, just the end. Yeah,
and then it cuts to the credits and Chick Habit.
Yeah,
Chick Habit rolls.
Yep,
classic.
Man, dope soundtrack as always.
Oh yeah,
like Scorsese and Tarantino do the best soundtracks.
Stellar, untouchable.
Oh man, so good. Yeah, such a fun ride, such a fun movie.
Yes,
Perfect
sir.
Season.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we got to do this, because I'm glad I got to watch those movies again and remember all this shit and just get fucking inspired, dude. This shit inspires me. Like when I'm watching these films, I get fucking so stoked. Like we were talking about Robert Rodriguez, indie film fucking mentality, indie film champion. Like dude, we got to keep that. We got to keep that going for sure.
That spirit,
dude. Yeah,
it's crazy that it. I mean, it's not too crazy, but that it flopped. Like Death Proof was, and I guess Grindhouse as a whole, because it was together, was his first flop, man.
Yeah.
So it like threw him off balance for a minute.
Yeah.
Like he went through it for a second. He was like really down and out for a couple of years. Then of course he came back with Inglourious Bastards, which was like
an incredibly huge commercial success.
Yeah.
But was that his biggest one after Pulp Fiction? Probably not.
No, Kill Bill.
Oh, right.
But Inglourious Bastards was like, oh man, like,
massive.
As incredible as Kill Bill is, this might be the masterpiece.
Dude,
like,
it's incredible.
Yeah, that movie is fucking wild. But I can see why it flopped. Is I think people just weren't ready for it, and your average person doesn't know what the hell is this? Two crazy ass movies.
The average person is not going to sit through two movies back to back.
Yeah,
definitely not.
It was definitely for the nerds.
Oh yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. They made one for the boys.
Yeah.
And we love it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's been reassessed with much better praise nowadays too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like since that time, I mean, shit, it's been a long time, man.
I know my personal rating, Death Proof was always high, Planet Terror was low an initial watching. Now I feel like it's aged better, so I would definitely rate Planet Terror a lot higher than I would have at first watching. Yeah, for sure. I was always like Planet Terror more than Death Proof, but for me it was kind of the opposite, where as I got older and I revisited them, I'm like, man, Death Proof is like pretty fucking like Death Proof is so fucking sick, dude.
I think they're even for me, but they're both very different movies.
They're totally different. I just really, on a personal level, I really fucking connect with Kurt Russell's character. He's just he's a cowboy, man. He's a fucking cowboy. You know what I mean?
He's the best.
And I love that shit. So
he's the best. Man, dude, this movie, 2007.
Do the math real quick.
So it's been 17 years. Dude. Almost 20 years, dude.
You know what I was thinking about? I think the oldest photo I have of you and I is from Waikiki Beach, Hawaii.
Yeah.
There's a photo. There's a photo of me and you in front of a water fountain.
In our green, our green polos.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. I'll be sure to post that with the
yeah.
on the
You got to.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah.
I gotta like print out all those old photos, like anything I can find. I gotta do like a print.
Dude,
out or
yeah.
something. Well, man, that's a wrap on this one, dude. Unless you have any final thoughts.
No, thank you so much for having me. This was fucking fun. I love this.
Yeah, we're an hour and 40 minutes in, so we're like just as long as or longer than fucking Death Proof was.
Oh shit.
All right.
All the bullshit.
Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks and a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksandamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.